It's Mental Health Monday. I should record that as a jingle and do that as like an opening every time. Nah, it's too much work and it would get annoying. I'm not going to do that. But let's today talk a little bit about some trends of self-care I see in the mental health world and why I think they may not always improve your mental health. The whole goal of self-care should be to take a step back and evaluate where you're at and make sure you have the resources you need to move forward. But there's a big trend in self-care right now to kind of snowplow into taking care of yourself at the expense of some of the much more needed but less glamorous aspects of growing your mental health. So some of those that I have seen include, tendency I'm going to say, maybe it's controversial, but it's this abstract over-prioritization of feelings. I think, I see this all the time in like blog posts or Instagrams where they'll say, hey, dwell with your feelings, honor your feelings, don't keep people around who don't validate your feelings. And the problem with that approach is that it doesn't really respect the fact that all feelings are very temporary and many feelings are misguided, especially in mental health situations. Treating them like they need to be the priority and dropping everything and saying everyone needs to validate this feeling, I need to focus on this feeling, really doesn't actually help. And many times it leads to cycles of overthinking and it prolongs this negative emotion that is caused by a circumstance or habit that you need to be working on, more so than feeling that feeling. So the over-prioritization of feelings is not always the way to go with mental health. Second mental health care tip that sometimes leads you astray is this cancel culture, this attitude that, if someone doesn't validate your experience or if someone challenges your mental health journey, they're negative, they're toxic, you got to get rid of them. Now here's the thing. If you are engaging with someone who intentionally and repeatedly is hurting you, whether that's physically, mentally, or emotionally, no matter who they are or what your relationship is to them, you should cut ties. You should not be with someone who is causing you harm knowingly. But the fact of the matter is, a vast majority of these negative experiences described in these cancel culture posts are just people being ignorant or having different opinions than you. And that doesn't mean you need to cut them out of your life. You may need to reevaluate your exposure to them or figure out how to articulate your difference of opinion better, but that doesn't mean you should just cut them out because they are different than you or they may not say something that's perfectly validating. The last one is going to be really hard to hear. Are you ready? Okay. It's this self-care attitude that we just need to justify our mental health, not take responsibility for it. I see this all the time in forums and even with therapists where they just kind of want to go through and be like, oh, it's because of, shitty childhood or really bad relationship or chronic anxiety. And that's true. We've all been through really shitty circumstances, and I want to recognize the fact that we've all been deeply wounded, yes. But at some point, you can't just keep cycling through justification and call that self-care. You have to take responsibility and have the self-respect to say, look, I was really badly hurt, but I've developed unhealthy coping mechanisms or traits that aren't really great, and I need to work through them and grow and become something better so that my mental health doesn't just keep cycling on these unhealthy habits. It's not a pleasant side, but it is self-care, and it's not often addressed in mental health circles.